Hi everyone, welcome to CLO 6.1 New Features webinar. In this session, we are going to walk through the new features and updates. We also have the live chat room in YouTube. If you have any inquiries about the update, please let us know in the chat room. And then we will start introducing the key features in 6.1. The first feature I'd like to introduce is the Closet Connect linkage. Now you can check Closet Connect store portals right inside software. If you move to the location of the existing library window, you can see that a tab is created at the top. There is a tab that provides existing CLO access, and a tab to view the store portals has been added next to it. So let's click on this tab. At the top of the Connect tab, the ported categories of Closet Connect store are composed. If you click on the category you want to check the portals, you can see the portals are loaded in the order of the latest registered portals at the bottom. You can see the thumbnail of the portal by hovering the mouse over the small thumbnail of the portal. If you want to see the detailed portal information, click the small thumbnail to go to the portal details page, and then you can view the portal details. The difference from the portal category of Closet Connect store is the software has new and my items categories. In the case of new, you can check portals of all categories in the order of the latest registered portals. In the case of my items, you can check the portals purchased from the linked Closet account. There are Account and Home buttons at the top right of the library window. If you press the Account button, you can check or change the linked Closet account. And if you press the Home button, you can go directly to the main page of Closet Connect. And then I will share further details of the Account part. If you click the Account button, you can check the linked Closet account. The profile shown at the top can be treated as a Closet account, which is created when you sign into Closet with your CLO SW account. For customers who have never signed up for Closet with a CLO SW account, you can sign up to Closet directly with a SW account. However, it is not necessary to create an account to log into Closet with SW account details. If you already have a Closet account in use, or if you want to sign up for Closet in another way and create an account, you can proceed by this way and add a Closet account in the Account section. After removing the added account, you can register another account. If you add and use this account, a total of 2 accounts are linked. So you can see that 2 folders exist when you select My Items. Once you enter each folder, you can use the portals purchased by Closet Connect. Once you download the purchase product, you can add it to the software and use it just like the files in the library. If you are logged in with SSO, there will be no Closet account associated with it, because it is not an SW account. In this case, click Add Account to link your Closet account. After that, let me explain what kind of service Closet Connect is. CLO Virtual Fashion officially launched Closet Connect, which is a global fashion community platform for fashion creators worldwide. Anyone interested in 3D fashion design can join it and participate in this service. Closet Connect provides open market service for fashion creators worldwide to download or purchase a variety of 3D items and manage their portfolios by uploading their 3D designs. Along with 100,000 existing Closet users and creators using CLO software, we will showcase various fashion contents, including 3D clothes, fabric, subsidiary materials and avatar. About 1,200 3D contexts have been produced, and surveys have been built for users to use. Swatchon, a world-renowned fabric company, has distributed more than 150 3D fabric items for free along with Connect's official opening. More than 4,700 users visit the corporate portfolio, with nearly 160,000 users downloading the items. Educate and SAP, which specialize in subsidiary materials, were also successfully onboarded to Connect with 3D buttons and zippers. Connect is currently waiting to meet world-class subsidiary materials companies such as YKK and Chargers. 3D items uploaded to Connect store can be found on the Closet Connect website without a separate registration procedure. You can also check the list of all creators through the Creator page on Connect. Closet Connect will provide a service so that all creators can become sellers on the Connect platform and sell 3D items to make profit. If there is any update on Closet Connect's second service opening, we will send you the update through Closet newsletter. Please check whether you agree to receive the newsletter on the Closet My Account page. In CLO 6.1, we have added new avatars and assets. So you can see we have new women's avatar and new men's avatar. If I go into Vmeld V2, you will see there is a new avatar. This avatar is actually come from Marvelous Designer, but now you can see it in CLO and also change it into different sizes. Here I'm going to add Camilla into my workspace. We have also updated our texture for all our avatars, and it is important to use the same version texture as avatar. So if you are using a V2 avatar, please make sure you use the V2 texture for it. Here I will select Camilla's torso and I can switch it to nude color underwear. I can also switch it to no any underwear since she is wearing a bathing suit. We also have a new men's avatar here named Daniel. So for the men's V2 avatar texture, we also update as well and you can use it for now. To use the avatar configurator, first let's bring an avatar into the space. One important thing to note, the avatar configurator only works with V2 avatars, so make sure you are selecting one of the avatars in this folder. So click on the avatar. In Property Editor, on the avatar styling, you will see the name of avatar you currently added in the space. You can click on the arrow to switch between different avatar schemes directly there. On the far right, you will see the Style Configurator button. Once selected, you will see the Style Configurator menu. So now you are able to change the hair, skin, eyebrow, and lips color. So click on the color chips to switch between the options. The white square in the center allows you to select your own custom colors, so you can pick your custom color and apply it on the avatar. On the right-hand side, you are also able to adjust the blending mode under the list. So there are several blending modes, and you can use this mode to make your color with the hair, the skin, eyebrows, and lips to have the best combination and best presentation. You can also apply the skin color for the avatar and apply blending for another presentation. For the eyebrows and lips, you are also able to switch between different avatars to adjust the shapes and styles. The lips color can be also changed, and we can also change the blending to have different combination of the makeup. Once you complete it, Click OK to finalize your design. If you like to go back to the default settings, simply hit the Reset button. And then I will move to talk about the new features. We add a new tooth in 6.1, which called the Select Mesh Brush tooth. It was originally coming from Marvelous Designer, and it will be very useful for CLO users. In this tooth, you can select certain areas of the mesh for subdivided, freeze, solidified, and add pins. You can find it in the same submenu under Select Mesh Boss Tooth and Pins Boss Tooth. If you activate that tooth, you will get a new brush information box. In this menu, the first one is about strength. Here you can decide the strength of the tooth. As higher the strength, as the stronger of the result it will be. And then for the size, you can decide how big you want the brush to be. As a bigger the selection area will be. The third one is focal. So you can decide the focus radius on your brush. You can apply this focal option within the freeze option of the tooth. So you can use these functions in both 3D and 2D window, and I will do the demonstration in the 3D window. Users can always zoom in and then change the view angle to select the mesh they want, and the first function under Select Mesh Brush Tooth is Subdivide. You can subdivide certain mesh area by this tooth to make the mesh much more delicate. So I select the area by this tooth and then right-click to find the options. In Property Editor, you can decide on the subdivision level. As higher as more delicate the mesh becomes. And now I'm using Value 2. If you activate Smooth, the transition to the regular mesh becomes more smooth. To delete the subdivided area, you just need to right-click and select the option Reset. If you want to hide the color, just right-click on the 3D backgrounds and then select Show or Hide Color and select Hide Subdivide Mesh. As you can see, the area of the gathering is now much more delicate than before. The second function is about freeze. You can also particularly freeze your mesh. If you change the focal area, it will be gradually frozen. As the lighter the green color, as softer the frozen area will be. So we can right-click on the particular area and then freeze it. And at the same time, we can freeze multiple area and then turn on Simulate to see the result. If you click on the top of the area with freeze, you can right-click and unfreeze the certain area. And also, you can also hide the color just like right-click on the 3D backgrounds as before. The third function is solidified. You can also apply solidified to certain areas by this tooth. So I just hover over the area that I want to solidify and then right-click and I will find the options about solidified. And when I right-click on it, I can unsolidify the areas. It is also possible to hide the color with a right-click on the 3D background. The last function of the Select Brush tooth is to add pins. You can select certain mesh area and then right-click to create pin. After applying pin, you will see it turn to red color, so you can realize this is the pinned area. You are able to hide those pinned if needed, so you can just click on the 3D vertical menu bar and then hide the pin. In CLO 6.1, you are now having the ability to adjust your pattern within the 3D window, so we can use different style line tubes below. The Scale style line tube will allow you to scale your pattern outlines. So I'm going to change the length of the hand with this tube by clicking on the lines. Then you will see two different perforated lines while holding down your select line. The dot with the arrows can be adjusted to change the length, like moving towards the larger arrow will lengthen. The dot line with the solid lines at the end can adjust the circumference of your hand. So I would just like to lengthen my hand, and I'm going to use the arrow dot line, then simulate. You can also keep doing these changes until you're satisfied with the looks. I'm also going to increase my overall circumference as well. Once you apply the changes by style line, you can immediately to simulate and to preview the changes in 3D windows. You can use this tool on any lines or seams. If I want to add some fullness to my side seams, I can do this to both side seams by just clicking and holding down on the side seam once. And then I will get the same two line changes. When you change the length of the side seam, both of the top and bottom will be adjusted normally. If you only want to adjust the top part of the line, you have to hover the top point till you see the blue arrows. So by this adjustment, you will only adjust the part of the line. So here I can move the part nearly the underarm and make it get closer to the body. If you look at my pattern in the 2D window, you will see that only the underarm is changed. If you like to edit the length separately, like front and back side seam, you can just click on the lines once, and then you will see the green and red color lines, and you can select one of them to adjust the lines, such as back or the front. And you can see all the changes in the 2D windows. You can also select the part like the bottom part and then adjust the swap of the back as well if you want. And I will keep continue using these tools to edit and adjust my 3D patterns, so you can see the changes and demonstrations of using these tools. Besides, we have the Edit Styleline tool. By using this tool, we can select the already created points and adjust them by clicking and holding down. You can create the new points by this tool, and please note that if you create a new point, the line will become a curvature line. It is also important to know if your pattern pieces are symmetric, so other related patterns will get the same result and same changes. And when you use this tool, you can also move the lines forward or backward and do the changing as you want. The rest of the tool for the pattern adjustment is Draw Style Line. This tool can help us to cut and sew new style lines on the garments. So we can go through and continue to use all of these tools to make a new garment in the 3D window directly. So we can have a completely new style and garments by using these new tools within a few minutes. These functions help you to increase the efficiency and also the effectiveness while creating the garments. And we can always do the post-changing for a better presentations like this. So here is the final garment. And then we will talk about the next update. We decided to use the glTF format to export both visual and physical parameters of a fabric, because it is a format that is already extended to share PBR materials amongst different 3D softwares. Furthermore, another benefit of using glTF or GLB format is it is flexible and extendable, and we can always add more information by writing into the extension sessions. There is a reason why we decide to go with the glTF format to export the fabric properties instead of using the other main two standard formats like OBJ and FBX. It is because those formats cannot contain PBR materials that they were developed before. Another note is about the substance file. It cannot be included in the export of a glTF fabric file, and we will see the future development in case of the substance usage, like physical properties of the fabric will be directly added in the substance format. After the introductions, I will show you about how to export the fabric glTF. So please click on the file from menu bar and then export. Fabric glTF GLB. After naming the file, you can see a pop-up menu appeared, and you will have to select which fabric, one or multiple, for export. And you can also refer to the object browser fabric tab to see which fabric you need. As mentioned above, a substance file cannot be included in the export. So when you export the GLF fabric, you cannot see the options. And then you can select the file format for export. Then I will show you how to import the fabric glTF files. So I will apply the default fabric for the dress first. So to import the files, you need to go to the File from menu bar, Import, glTF, and choose the object type fabric. You can also drag and drop a glTF or GLB file in the fabric item or the fabric tab in the object browser directly. Under the import setting, you can choose the load type and also object type as an avatar or load it as a fabric or trims. So you can select the object type, depends on your need, and then click OK. And then you can import the fabric that you select. After import those fabric, you will see in Object Browser Fabric tab, we will edit those fabric, and we can directly apply the fabric as user. And you can see the changes like the fabric appearance and also the bending and draping depends on the fabric properties. And there is another way to import the fabric files. You can right-click on the fabric tab and import, and then select the denim files. After that, you can add it as a glTF or GLB format, just like these denim files. And then we can click OK and apply this fabric on the dress. And you will see the changes after simulations. And if you want to import a GLF file as an avatar, which was earlier saved as fabric. You may see a rectangle pattern pieces in the 3D window. This is a normal case, and it will generate a geometric to fit it into alphabet category and open properly. And then we'll move to talk about the last features. In CLO 6.1, you can now load unified maps into your 3D garments. Previously, when applying a texture image to fabric, CLO will repeat the image on that material. At present, there is an option to have more settings where texture images are being placed by using unified maps. This is done by changing the fabric load type from texture repeat to unified map within the object browser. Once you have changed the fabric load type in the object browser, you can apply a UV map to the garments. The texture image will be applied directly to your current UV layout in the UV Editor mode. We can change to UV Editor mode to see more details on it. And this is a great addition for developing engineer paints in CLO like the one I have here. And then I will update the modes, UI and UX part. And I will go through the UV editor first. In CLO 6.1, you have the options to include top stitching in your UV maps. There are two options for this. You can save the top stitch as an OBJ or as a texture. When the top stitch type is assigned as an OBJ, it will generate UV patterns for the top stitching within the UV editor. When the top stitching type is changed from object to texture, it will be converted to an image and repeat along the pattern pieces within UV layout. Both top stitching options can now be exported within the UV map. Apart from exporting the UV map of object top stitch in UV Editor mode, we can break the texture image and save it as new format. User can set fit all UV to 0 to 1 and customize the pattern placement. Then select Fade Texture on right-hand side toolbar and customize the size, UV area, and check the texture type. And you can select the saving path and name the map, and save the map not only as PNG, JPEG, but also PDF in 6.1. So user can save the maps in various formats depends on your needs. And here will be the result of UV map in PDF format, including the diffuse and also the normal map. And then we can move to the BOM mode. Top stitch information is added into BOM editor in 6.1. We can preview the top stitch styles, and the quantity depends on your garments, and change the price and unit to check the cost. You can also check the total cost and save the BOM file as a record for internal or external communications. This session will cover new print layout modes features. The first one is ruler and guideline. In the vertical menu, there is now an option to toggle the rulers within guideline. While a guide is being placed, it will snap to pattern's edges or seam allowance automatically. Once a guide is set, snap patterns to edge or seam allowance, and patterns are snapped into the edge or fabric row automatically. The second update is Snap to Pattern. Several options for pattern snapping are available in the right-click menu, and Snap to Pattern will cause the pattern centers to align to each other when moved. The third one is Texture Grid Map. Snap to Texture Grid will allow you to place patterns by snapping to either the outline or center of the texture or paint. When these options are selected, the print reveal edge and center guides are changed. And then the fourth one is in the snapshot, show hide backgrounds and fabric. In the saving image dialog box under show image, you are now able to hide the pattern texture or fabric mold texture, and you can also change the texture opacity at the bottom. The fifth one is the snapshot also supports PDF format. Once appearance settings are confirmed, there is an option to save this image as PDF. And the last one is bond tape. If the bonding has been applied to any pieces, a bond tape will be automatically applied with all relevant patterns, and there will be one bond tape on all bonded pieces regardless of the type selected in Property Editor. Here you will be able to see all of your colors in each colorway. You can use these color chips and you will be able to adjust all properties within your colorway that use in this specific color. If I select this color here and then scroll down, you will see that I have a button using this color along with some top stitches. If I change this color using the color chip, all of these properties will change to new color. Also, if I go to another colorway chips and change it to the same color, then it will combine those two color chips into one. And I can then change this color, and then the top stitch and the button will be changed. It is important the name of the color chips comes from the colorway name, which you can edit in the Property Editor. So we can change the name here, and you will see that all the names will be updated. The color chips will also combine even you change the colors to the same, just like here below. If I select both of these fabric and then change their color to the same one, you will see in your color tape another colorway chips will combine into one. If I undo it, you will see the original one fabric was white and one was none. So these changes I've made have only affected this colorway. If I want to affect another two colorways, I will need to do another settings. The colorway chips can also affect prints as well. Right now my prints are all named in white, and I can change this name to print so that I can see it better in my colorway chips. And when you adjust the color using the chips, it will be a color overlay as you can see. You can change it so there isn't any color on your print as well. Another thing is, within different names of the same color, the chips will not be combined. You can now hide and also show the graphics in your colorway. By using these eyes, you can now easily change between all your graphic options. Besides, you can show the same graphic but still add different colors for each colorway. Another update is Emulator Mode. You can now set the maps when you create zip fabric in Code Emulator from CLO 6.1, not only the texture map. Please enter the measured values at the same rate with CLO 6.0 and compile it into CLO physical properties. In the stage to set the texture, you can find a place to set it as normal, displacement, and alpha map. You can also find a place for the maps about reflection as well when you press the next button. And at the last stage is to complete the zip fabric after setting all maps you need for this fabric. And you can directly apply those fabric with the different mappings like normal map, displacement maps, and texture maps, and then do the further changes in code. And then we will share about the update of interface changing. The UI is changed, like it is possible to set the color of the lines in pattern as each user wants. You can find this in menu from user settings. And then select user interface in user setting window, and you can find the line sections in user interface, and it is possible to set each color of elements by using the color palette. Thickness of lines can be changed as you feel comfortable. For the font size of numbers, which appeared when you try to check the line's length, can be also changed. You don't have to restart the software after you set this setting. The change will be shown directly right after you set it. And then, for the SSO login, you can sign in Cloud Network Online Auth through single sign-on. We already provide SSO features with OCTA since CLO 6.0. And from 6.1, you can use the SSO feature from ADFS. If you and your company are using OCTA or ADFS and you want to use SSO in Cloud, please contact the Cloud team and we will help you to do the setting. From 6.1, you can select Mesh by brush. To select the mesh thickly, you have to move the cursor a few times on the same spot when you use the three-button mouse. But with a tablet pen, just press more. Depending on the pressure of the pen, it is adjust the range and depth of the mesh selections. As you know, the color of the 3D pattern will be changed when you freeze or strengthen them. From 6.1, you can set the color back to the original fabric color, even you freeze or strengthen the patterns. You can find the menu by right-click pop-up menu. In the 3D window, you can see the menus of each setting when you hover your cursor on the Show or Hide color menu, like this. There are also some updates on the avatar part. So users now can create symmetric avatar tapes in the 3D window. So let's start by creating avatar tapes, like using basic circumference measures on the avatar. And I will draw the tape on avatar's left hand. And then change to another avatar tape, just like linear measure, and draw it on the upper stress. After having this tape, you can right-click and select those tapes with edit measure avatar and duplicate to symmetric positions. So this helps us to save the time while doing the avatar tape creations.
Let's move on to material updates. First is about trims improvements. Now we can able to open trim file without pattern pieces. To save the trim files, create OBJ. By OBJ, we have to first load as trim types. It's only possible when there was a pattern first in Cloud. So because of this, now we can able to open trim file even without the patterns. When you open OBJ, you can select the object type as trim wide array. So let's, in this case, I save it as a trim files. Run out. And then save as from the main menus, and you can use as trim files such as this showcase, the all ranked right now as a trim file format. Another update is about trim item that it can able to showcase in a list of scenes. From these versions, you can see the files are usually small in size and exist only in the 3D window. So we received the opinion that we can able to locate easily by the wheel in the scenes. So if you select scenes, such as this case, when you go to the first tab of the object browser, you can able to see there's a CLO controller at the bottom of the list. And you can see the trim files in the costume. So if you click on the trim that you want to select here, you can see that the trim is also selected in the 3D window. If you select trims in the scenes, the file is also selected in the 3D window and make it easier to locate the trims. So let's move on to talk about the trim collisions. So let's turn into the back side of these bra. Under the bra straps loops, we want to add in these O-rings into these strap loops. In the past, when the trim file is sandwiched between the fabric like these, it will come out easily because of collisions. It's not performed. From these versions, now the trim file can be handled with collisions. So when you, let's say now we put it in between the bow loops, the strap loops by Gizmo, and now we set the collisions and press on Simulate. Now you can use the fabric as its insert. This process only in the state that the trim file is not glued. So please make sure to use it carefully. And now let's move to the front side to talk about another new updates, which is we are able to move the OBJ, the multiple trim file, all at once. So in front, those little ducts, the beads, we are now able to pressing the Shift key to multi-select and use the gizmo to move all at once. So if you want to move several trims at once while maintaining the spacing between the trims, you can select multiple functions and move them all at once by gizmo. Here, I would love to talk about the buttons and buttonhole improvements. That is the major changes of the buttons registrations, because we can now register buttons in multiple sizes. Buttons that are provided with multiple sizes in one design previously were used by saving individual button file for each size, or by registering only one design as a file and then using the close size change functions. But now, if you look at the image I'm showing you right now, the top line represents the buttons of various sizes using the ladder methods. If you use the ladder methods, the close function modifies the overall scales of the buttons, and the size of the buttons pole parts should be kept with also changes. In this case, this is actually the right way to use each buttons by size, like the buttons on the bottom row. However, in order to use this, it was necessary to save and manage individual files separately. In this case, this function was developed. In the aspect of managing files, and usability was inconvenience. First, let's click the button tab at the top of the object browser. If you select the button style and go to the property editor, you can click the register button here. Or alternatively, you can open the button registration windows by clicking Materials, Buttons, Register Buttons from the main menu. You can enter the button information in sequence. Of course, now you can name the buttons that is to be registered. And now you can add in the thumbnails of the buttons. So in the case of that button as shown in the image on the left, you can create and use an image taken with the front of the buttons at the maintenance ray without any margins. But for buttons with a button post like the image on the right, you can use the image taken from the side to see the button post without space. So let's click the Register Thumbnails button to load the image. Now, following part is to register the button's information and file for each size. Click Add Size, as many as the number of buttons to register. Then enter each button information in the order of button size. I will register from the smaller size first, then click the button size you want to type, and then go down to see where you want to type. The size name is the button size name that will be displayed in the menu when using the file later. You can change the name to something that is easy to understand, or you can use the name that is automatically generated. So the second is to register the file. For buttons, only OBJ file can be registered. Next, enter the width, thickness, and weight of the buttons respectively. So let's enter the information for each buttons. So when you click OK at the bottom, you can see the window indicating the button registration is complete. So this time, let's use the button file we just created. When you register a button in CLO, it is added to the button function immediately. Therefore, you can immediately select and use this button style that was added last in the list of button styles. If you want to locate a file, the register button is saved in the path where CLO access is located. So please right-click in the library window and copy the access path and paste it into the window. Browse it to the button folder and you will see the button file you just saved. So now let's quickly add the buttons and switch to the button that we registered in different sites. And I just quickly change its tag material type and colors. You can still change, adjust according to your designs for texture. And save it. If using a button file with multiple sizes, you will see there's a drop-down menu in the Property Editor where you can see a list of sizes in these button files. You can change the size of the buttons in these menus. If you have to enter a size other than the registered size, press Customs at the bottom of the drop-down menu. You will be able to enter your own size. If you enter the size at the bottom, you can see that the button is reflected according to the size you enter. At this time, you can think that the OBJ that is changed when entering the custom size is the OBJ of the last used size. Therefore, the most natural shape change is possible by selecting the size that is most similar to the size you want to enter first and change it to Customs. When create buttons or buttonholes, there is now an option to automatically distribute between 2 points instead of setting it manually. With the button or buttonhole tool, right-click on the patterns edge and select Distribute under Type in the dialog box. Set placement of buttons from the pattern edge and state the start and end points. Now let's insert the value in the dialog box. And when the number of buttons are changed, the distribute between will be automatically calculated. So the select and move button tool, all buttons in this group will be selected together and change all the settings once. Now let's duplicate the buttons with the buttonholes on the other sides. Select them with the select and move button tools to set the bind position by measurements in 11 millimeters. So let's move on with texture improvements. Now we can open texture in AI and Photoshop directly. So for this C project files, we see the graphics on the t-shirts and texture image on the skirts. So now please select the fabrics on the skirts in Object Browser. Click Open with icon next to texture. Then now you can have option next to all apps. Choose either one map to open, app to open. You can add new maps or desired apps to open. Let's choose open in Photoshop. Now we can see in the old Photoshops right now, we can now freely adjust the graphics with changing the details and colors. So just now I switch some details and colors. And save it. Now let's go back to CLO, and while we right-click upon the free space, we can refresh the graphics instantly under CLO. About the t-shirts that with the AI files or the placement prints, let's use the transform graphic tool to select the graphics, and same next to the texture image under property editor, let's open with hit the icons, and same let's open with the another apps, which is the Illustrator or Photoshop. Of course, you can choose either in Photoshop or in other apps. Because this is AI, Adobe Illustrator, let's hit the illustration files, and instantly you will open the file path of these graphics. Same, you can play with different adjustments under in other apps. Let's quickly switch to another color for the graphics and save. Same, let's go back to CLO, and same once we refresh the texture image. So instantly you will see the changes on the graphics in CLO. So now you can also adjust the tilling of your prints within the texture editor. So such as space and shift. The first box of space will adjust the spacing of your artwork from the side. Positive will have the artwork move away. Negative will move the work closer. So you can see it right now under the texture editor window. So the second box of space will adjust the spacing of the artwork from above and below. And the same, positive will move the artworks away, negative will move the artwork close. So the first box of shift will shift your artworks from side to side. Positive will move the bottom from left and above right. Negative will move the bottom right and above left. The second box for shift will shift your artworks up and down. So same, the positive values will shift the image up, the tile image up, and negative down. Then the reset buttons on the side will reset your numbers back to 0. This tilling will not automatically create a seamless repeat. You must continue to play around with your scale to create a seamless repeat. Meanwhile, there's also an extra functions for save image of layers. You can now save out your layers as a separate PNG images. The buttons below here, save image, will allow you to do this. Once selected, you will then be able to choose which layers you would like to save out. If you do not want to save an image, simply uncheck the box, then select OK. You will then be taken to your Files window where you can choose where to save your image by selecting the folder. There you will have your PNG image that you can use in any software. So I'm going to demonstrate some updates on the 2D tools, especially the new pattern tools. The very first update is about a new tool called Spiral. So here we got this project files. We would like to add the spiral patterns onto the skirt bottoms for the other sides. Here we already got the internal lines for the sewing path. And now please hovering your mouse to the 2D button menus and click the polygons. You drop down menus, you will see the spiral tools underneath. Click it and you will able to again click on the random space and you will see a pop-up window called Create Spiral. There are some parameters you can set to adjust the shapes of, customize your shapes of these spiral patterns. I'm now adjusting the inner radius, as you can indicate by the blue lines from the center points. I can play with the different values to adjust the shapes. And of course, you can adjust the length, the total length of, you can adjust either inner or outer length. So I click it, you will see the adjustments and changing of the length, both in inner and outer. So for the sides, it's about the end side length. So of course the inner, I can also play with adjusting the value, and now stick with 20 to make it smaller, shorter. And I just stick with 80 at last for the outer sides length. And then finally is offset, is indicated by the blue lines on the 2D windows. You can adjust the offsets to make it more wider or narrower. I will just type in 150 millimeters for the offset. And of course, direction, either choose clockwise or counterclockwise. So you can click OK when you confirm it. So here you got the customized spiral patterns. So I just adjust the position and add the sewing lines accordingly to sew it on top of these front panels, and of course superimpose over. Then you got the custom shapes of spiral patterns sewing onto the dress fronts, bottoms. Of course, these two not just to make the custom shapes, you can also use this tool for creating ruffles, custom ruffles. Again, I just still use the same spiral tools to and quickly insert those values for the sides and radius and length and so on. I want to sew it onto the waist. So just let me click first times and insert the values 1571.5 for the inner length, and then I click OK. Again, I got these patterns for ruffles, and I just use the sewing tools to show it on to the waist lines. And I will close the ends for both ends of the ruffles. Seeing here, I use superimpose sides so that it stick alongside with the waist patterns. I will use the layering tools to adjust to make sure it's making on top of the dress. And of course, I adjust while I simulate, make sure it won't colliding with the underneath patterns. So here we got the ruffles creates by the spiral tools. And there's another updates which we can set the perpendicular pattern corner upon the patterns. So here we focus on the bottom edge, the sides seams of the dress right sides. So I just quickly shift to the monochrome surface for display, and I use active pattern tool to select the corner and right click to see the perpendicular pattern corner. And you see the pop-up windows, you can adjust the length and directions. So here I insert the values to 10 millimeters for the length and click OK. So instantly you see there's a blue base lines indicating the perpendicular corner. Of course, I now quickly do onto the other side, same, right click upon the corners, perpendicular pattern corner. Now, so you instantly got these smoothed edge of the side seam bottoms. So here we got another improvements for the dot creations. Here we got another updates about dot improvements. So we got these shirts for the files. At the back side, back your area, we want to add a dot. So we use these 7 points, right click add dots. This time for the dots window, we got the shapes dot cap chat the boards. If you click the chat, then we will have these sticks to curve points to let you guys to adjust the shapes of these dot caps. You can slide and move around those curve points to indicate the fold lines. So of course you can right click to delete those curve points. So once you click enter, you got these dot shapes customized with those curve points accordingly. So of course now it's just undo it, and now if we create dots without shape dot cap box checked, you're still able to got the dark shapes, the dark caps auto-generate to the most accurate. There is also some update about notch improvements. So right now, you can simply use Edit Pattern tool, right-click, and you see the drop-down options called Add Notch. And also, you can use Edit Curve Points to add notch directly from the right-click menus. And there are also another update, which is right now you can able to not lock the notch positions. So in this case, we use notch tool and click a random point on the sleeve crowns. And now you see there are lock options under property editor. Click on, then you can able to lock depending on which from the start or end points, and able to insert the values for the distance for the locked area. So in this case, you can see the logos with the locked icon and indicating the arrows for the directions. And now on, whenever you use the curvature or at the curve points, you can to change the unlocked sides. The notch positions will still stick onto the point that you indicate at the beginnings. You can simply also optimize the curve points. And for the other sides that you locked it, now whenever I move the at the curve point, change the curvature for the outlines, they still stick onto the position that I indicated at the beginnings. So please note that this lock feature does not work for a notch that already at the segments or curve point, since it does not have the both directions indicated. So in this, I just chose the other area that I switched to endpoints as locked positions, and I indicate 2 millimeters from the endpoints, or just one. So whenever I change the curvature, same using at the curved points, it will now not affecting the notch positions. And now even I adjust the curvature, I'm still able to check these endpoint positions. For grading updates, now we can change the step points of the pattern. So in these shirts, we got already 3 grade sides. Just use Edit Grading tool. By select the patterns, such as now I select the sleeve patterns. Then, of course, you can able to see a right click. You can able to see the align options with different stacking positions. So you can choose either from left, from the right, bottom, top, or center, middles, or even a combinations of center and middle. So you see now I just simply click the patterns and right click the patterns and play with different directions right now. So this is more easy to aligning all the patterns stacking positions. So besides that, you can also select the points and right click to get the align options along either in X or Y assets, or even both X and Y assets. So I use these on the armed points or the backs to select the stacking positions. Besides that, there are also a POM updates aligning with the grading length. So in this case, I just quickly add the POM for the fronts. So instantly you see the different the grading length. And also even this works on the diagonal lines, the POM. So right now I just add on from the front to the armholes. So you also can see this different grading length. Another improvement is for offset internal line. In these versions, we are able to add on both sides at the same time. So start by adding an internal lines at the fronts on these padded jackets right now. And now I use edit button 2 to select offset as internal lines. Now for the pop-up windows for the offsets, we are still able to insert distance with the number of offsets. But this time under options, we're able to select both sides. And besides that, we can able to extend to the pattern outline or extend to internal lines. So right now it's easy and more quickly to add multiple internal lines on both sides at the same time. So there's also some improvements for warp pattern 2. Right now, you use warp pattern 2 can traverse pattern edges on multiple patterns. And you can now click to match up the starting points, hover over sim lines to continue walking a pattern across multiple pattern pieces, such as this in these jackets. And same time, right click at any point while walking to flip the pattern horizontally. So for auto sewings, in the previous 6.0 version, we saw the introduction of the auto sewing features. Now these functions has been expanded into 6.1, including more categories such as pens. So in this project file, we need to arrange the pattern pieces around the aperture in order the way they will be sewn. So I just quickly used the arrangement point to arrange the pens patterns. And next, please select auto sewing 2. And now there's the select option had newly added with pens. So, and then sewing will automatically be applied to the pattern pieces. And all you need to do is just to simulate. And now here you got the simulated pens with sewed. So for the updates and the 3D windows, now we got the 3D pen extended to the baselines as well. So we can locate this to 3D base pen 2 and point the 3D windows. And now just let me focus on these trench coat for the bottom pockets. And now I just use these pens, this base pen, to draw a line here, the baseline here. And also you can easily check on 2D window, the same red baseline appears onto the pattern as well. So you can also interact with that baseline if you can trace it with the trace tool. For example, right now, I just turn it to internal lines. Or you can just use it as a reference line. Such as this case, I try to move the internal shapes that for the sewing the weld pockets. Now I simulate, and now I can move, adjust the position of these weld pockets. There's another update for fold arrangement. Now, is it possible to fold or unfold the patterns at the same time on 3D by the fold arrangement too, if the patterns have symmetry properties? You can activate the gizmos on the internal lines or sim line in 3D as always, and move the arrow to fold and unfold the patterns, such as this case, I fold the cuff. And you can also see that the opposite size pattern also move together and makes less workloads to make the fold. We also have some major updates about file saving. Right now we have the new functions to able to save the 3D stage under his as a project files. So now I open the history windows and you can see there's a new option called 3D Stage with the icons. Once you click this icon, you're able to save project at the current state. Such as now, I click one time, you can able to see these instantly. We got the thumbnail image with the 3D Stage named underneath. It's now saved it for the current 3D stage. And now you can continue to work on to change different ways of the project files. Let's say now I change the pose of this avatar. And maybe I also switch to another viewing angle, such as now I save these as another 3D stage files. And you can able to see this, once you click it, you will save a separate 3D state files and showcasing under the history windows. And now on, even I still continue to work on, let's say, switching the top color to another, such as like this blue color. And I'll also click the save 3D stage icon again. You got the third 3D stage file. So these you can always able to check how keep saving the current 3D stage, numbers 3D stage while you're working on to the project files. And this function as a full project can be added back to the current workspace or open as a new project. So let's say right now I select 3D stage 1 that I just initially saved. Right click upon to select the 3D stage. You can able to select add to workspace. Of course, you can delete or rename it. So now if I add the select 3D stage 1, there's also a pop-up menu asking you, are you sure? Of course, now I just try to add on 3D stage 1. Then these projects will switch to the 3D stage 1 status. But at the same time, the history that you save behind, they will also with all the other assets included. And also the 3D stage in the history, they can be accessed there. Once you open the 3D stage, you can locate back under files, reasons, or you can also enter save as projects. Now we can also able to export glTF file with colorways and animations. So we have a file ready now with multiple colorways. If you go to check under the colorways mode, you can able to see there's multiple colorways added. And you can also go to animations. You get able to see there's also animations files set for these project files. So now let's go back and go to File, Export. Now select glTF, save file, or of course you name it, test glTF. So for the pop-up window, please make sure to select File, Save Colorways, as well as the include garment animation for under Objects. So these two, if you want to export these two information, please make sure you check the box there and click OK. So now you can re-import the glTF files and to close. In 6.1 versions, we are now able to open substance file, including CLO physical properties. We can select fabrics and change material to substance and express different fabric appearance. In the meanwhile, we can also apply co-physical properties into the substance, such as now I play with different presets under CLO preset library for fabric. So we can now able to combine the substance materials, both physical and textures. And also, we can also apply substance to the materials for files, such as buttons or the avatars. So we can also preview the results in the render window right now. So in this case, you can see the substance showcased onto these this girl doll, baby doll dressed. We can do some settings such as changing the displacement map value to make the material appearance get closer to your design's ideal results. Besides that, we can also apply substance materials such as the dog avatar. When we refresh the render window, we could see the changes on these dog's avatar. We can also apply it onto the buttons for showing various material outcomes, such as right now I zoom in a little bit about the window, but that's on the butt of the buttons. I switch the materials for different substance materials for files, and now you can able to see the changes as well on the render window. So there's another improvement upon the DXF files. First is now we're able to import 2D cats sim allowance to close sim allowance. In the scenarios now, such as I open the 2D pattern windows right now, I will try to add in DXF files that I prepared before under the library. So right now I add in the DXF under the window, pop-up window. Now we have the extra option called convert to sim allowance. I check this box, so hit OK. Now, of course, in 2D pattern window, we got DXF files. When we use the sim allowance tool, you can able to be automatically recognize besides the pattern outlines. You got the additional lines indicating the sim allowance. Of course, you're able to hit the points or the outlines, pattern outlines, and once you hit it, you are able to still have the original sim allowance showcasing as a baseline in the background. So please note that this default setting is applied to the type of start, end, or edge sim allowance that is not supported by CLO. So another improvement is now we can able to load the rule files upon the DXF. It can happen that name of the rule file is different from the name of the DXF. We are aware of that. So because of the previous version, CLO wouldn't have to associate rule files according to the DXF due to their different naming convention. So now there is a possibility to import the rule file independently without the need of matching its name to the DXF. So now here we got the DXF with the associate rule files. Though there are different names, but now we simply can go to under Object Browser, the grading tab. We can able to have locate the icon called Open Grade Rule icons. Once you hit the icons, you can able to locate the rule files independently under the open file windows. So see, you can able to see the different grading sites under the 2D pattern window. Another way, of course, simply you can just drag and drop the rule files under the library. So you can able to have the same showcase. And then we simply can switch to different grade size under the grading tab. We got another updates onto the 3D snapshots. First is we can adjust the resolution for pixels right now. So you see under these Z project files, we got the two back displays with the backgrounds. Now we can able to adjust the resolutions, right? So let's go to the files under the snapshot 3D windows. I just type in the names first. Now under the snapshot windows, image size settings, we can able to see now the units and the resolutions is able to be changed the values. So now it's 72, but of course we can adjust into other units such as inches, millimeters, centimeters, as you prefer. So now stick with pixels, we can able to adjust the resolution. Let's say now it's in 300s. So you can able to export the 3D snapshots in custom resolutions. Another update is about you can able to show hide 3D grids under 3D windows. So you can see under the toggle bars, the bottom, there's icons. You can able to locate these 3D grids display. At the same time, when you open the 3D snapshots, for exporting the 3D snapshot image, you can also able to displays these 3D grids upon your 3D snapshots. Another improvement is that we can able to set the rotation axis of turntable. So now in this Z project files, we got the two back displays with the backgrounds. Let's go to files, video capture turntables. Under the Windows options, now you can able to see these rotation axis. Under rotation axis, this is auto as a default settings. But of course now it's indicated by the dotted lines at the centers as assets is like rotation axis. So if I select the custom options, such as now enter specific value for the X and Y and Z axis, this value now is able to adjust to change right now. So once I insert the values, it's automatically changed to customs axis, and you will instantly see the indicated dot lines of the rotation axis switch to the right sides. Right now, I adjust the Z value. So the another improvement is if you hide one's avatar and the garments and set the rotation to auto, it will also only take into account the visible elements in the workspace. So now just hit it. So you can able to see these turntable videos now adjust into the change axis accordingly. These also can be able to do it under the render window for image properties turntable image. Now switch to the video capture and record the turntable videos. In the video settings, we can adjust the rotation axis still by auto, center, customs, and preview in the 3D window, right? So in 6.1, a new video saving format is able to provide it, which is MP4. So user can save turntable and animation video as MP4 or AVI format, depending on OS now. So in this case, I save this video and select this MP4 or AVI formats. Thank you so much for joining us in CLO 6.1's webinar. We will have a few more new features to showcase, so please stay tuned and subscribe our channels to see more updates.